And a big blow for the Arvind Kejriwal government. The Delhi High Court has ruled against the audit of Discoms by the Controller and Auditor General of India, or the CAG. This after pleas filed by the three Discoms challenging the decision of the government to have their accounts audited by official auditor, the CAG. Ashmit was in court tracking that story, joined us now. Ashmit, big relief for the Discoms, but of course it is likely to go in for appeal, isn't it, the Delhi government?
Well, indeed, that's the sense that one gets. But for now, definitely relief coming in for the Discoms. The Delhi High Court holding in very clear terms that as of now, there is no scope, there is no room for a CAG audit of these Discoms. Now, these concerns, of course, had began January 2014 when the AAP-led government, Delhi government, had sought to initiate a CAG probe. Of course, the Discoms had appealed before the Delhi High Court, arguing that these are private enterprises in play, that the controlling stake is with the private party and is hence beyond the scope of the CAG Act. The government has, of course, had sought to rebut these claims, arguing that Discoms are discharging public functions, that they have seen significant investment of funds by the government, that the government enjoys a 49% stake. But as of now, the Delhi High Court not making much of these arguments, holding that there is already an oversight mechanism in place by way of the DERC, that allowing the CAG at this point would only lead to redundancy, which is not the need of the hour, and on that count, of course, relief coming in for the Discoms. But of course, as you had pointed out initially, not the final chapter. One does get a sense that perhaps Apex Court is where one could see a further challenge to the Act.
All right, joining us now is Praveer Sinha, the Managing Director and CEO of Tata Power at the Delhi Distribution Company. Praveer, appreciate you joining us, and Ashmit, hang in there. Your first reactions to the order that's coming from the Delhi High Court, and are you now bracing yourselves for an appeal?
As far as we are concerned, we are a public service utility company, and we have always believed that that we work for the benefit of our consumers, and we are accountable to the Regulatory Commission. So the Electricity Act very clearly spells out that we need to be accountable to them, and we need to follow the law, which is that all our audit is actually carried out at the instance of the Regulatory Commission. And we believe that we have been providing very good service to our consumers, and our consumers are very satisfied.
Mr. Sinha, sorry if I could interrupt you. As far as a layperson is concerned, this is, what you're saying is a jurisdictional issue. It could be seen as a technicality. Yes, you are providing your numbers, etc., to the electricity regulator. But, the layperson would say that if all is kosher, then why wouldn't you want the CAG to audit your books?
The law of the land is that under the Electricity Act, we need to be audited by the Regulatory Commission, and they do the audit every year. So that's what is important, and I think we need to follow the law of the land, and whatever the scrutiny or whatever the audit has to be done typically by the Regulatory Commission, and that's what is followed by everyone in the country.
Right, Mr. Sinha, if I may just join in for a brief question. One of the main arguments that the Discoms had raised essentially is that there is a significant private interest as far as these Discoms are concerned, 51% to be specific. And that was the question, that this is perhaps beyond the scope of the CAG Act. I'm just reading out one excerpt from the operative part of the order. The Delhi High Court says that the words body or authority under the CAG Act are of wide amplitude. They extend to private body or authority and would also cover the Discoms. Now, the order for all effective purposes might be in your favor, but do you feel that perhaps in principle, in spirit, this is something that will be held against you, that perhaps private enterprises cannot escape a CAG audit?
Those will be in certain conditions, and I have not gone through the order, so I would not be able to comment at this stage. But as I mentioned to you, there is a very robust process of audit which the regulator carries out, and they are the competent authority to carry out any audit of a Discom. And this is very much ingrained in the Electricity Act 2003. So we need to follow whatever is the law of the land, and that is the standard practice which is being done for all the Discoms in the country. And we would also like to be governed under the same provisions.
Fair enough, sir. Another question at this point, of course, the CAG machinery had been set in motion as far as Discoms and as far as the audit was concerned. We've learned, of course, of reports of the draft report which had come out, which in fact had red flag concerns with respect to financial irregularities. So a quick question, today's order, of course, begs the question as to what happens of this draft order. How does this process go forward? And are you, of course, gearing up for perhaps another legal challenge in the apex court?
Well, the order of the Honorable High Court is very clear that whatever has been done is non-est, and that means whatever has been done has to be returned to us, and that cannot be taken cognizance of. So that's where it stands as far as the order is there.
Right, Mr. Sinha, appreciate you joining us. So that was, of course, Mr. Praveer Sinha, the MD and CEO of Tata Discom from Delhi, holding now that, of course, the DERC does, in fact, have a robust oversight mechanism, and perhaps CAG audit is not the need of the hour. But, of course, it does beg the question as to whether or not the Delhi government will move forward, challenge it in the apex court. That does appear to be the likely scenario.
I put my money on that, Ashmit. I would put my money on the fact that the Delhi government is going to appeal this order. But thanks very much for joining us with those details. But here's